Yo, what is good? I need to get through this mess here. There we go. Hi, guys. How y'all doing out there? Hope you're doing well. Monday morning here. Portal will be portaling. What's up, Crusoe? How you doing, man? Theo Getty, welcome in. Saffron Works, welcome in. Hope you're all doing well out there. I was thinking that it's probably high time we start getting productive again. Seeing how it's almost the end of January, and we've made it through a few weeks now of easing in, so let's make some magic happen. I'm going to get started on a new futuristic weapons pack, and this one will actually end up being released through Ghost Hack this time. But the workflow here is totally applicable to other types of sounds, and I thought I'd use a different type of layering tool compared to what I normally do, so you guys can get a kind of different angle on this whole thing. Because you've seen me do this with various types of sounds over the years, but this one always feels so much more daunting to people. So what I wanted to do was kind of take a couple baby steps into this process. And this, of course, can be parlayed into, I mean, really any kind of sound design that involves layering, but especially stuff that involves eclectic, fully mutated movements, rustlings, that type of thing, for general music production as well, not just like for screen sync sound design stuff. We've typically used more traditional layering tools, just in more creative ways, right? So I think this time what we're going to do is use Weaponizer from Krotos, show you guys how stacking various banks of similar sounds ends up giving you really, really solid continuity throughout a sound pack, as well as the ability to then kind of cherry pick your favorite outcomes when dealing with really similar sounds, which is something we've talked about quite a bit in the past. Oftentimes how we end up with like the super, super best stuff possible. So we'll start by just chopping up some pre-existing sounds. We'll use some sounds from the Boom library to get started. We'll end up getting into our own sounds, show you how all of those sounds were actually crafted originally. But first we'll take the initial steps for those that are not out crafting all of the source sounds themselves. And we'll pick up from, so you've purchased some samples, now what the heck do you do with them kind of workflow. And then when we pick this up, probably in the next episode, we'll dissect how those source sounds are actually made. We can do a deeper dive. And then we can go through this workflow again and show you how you can unlock just a ton more stuff. So the first time through, we'll go through, we won't be doing a whole bunch of onboard modulation and mangling. It'll be more about how do we even get the sounds to line up, right? And how do you figure out what kind of sounds to use? How do you make them sound good? All of that kind of stuff. And then we'll get into the more unique processing stuff after that. We'll probably get we'll probably get through an entire workflow today, so you can get through. If you've gone out and like bought some samples somewhere and you're wondering how to make all these things work, and get through the source selection. We can do all the sample chopping and editing. We can do the sample bake loading and all of the triggering and recording, and then we'll pick some of our favorites from that, and we'll take a look at some of the processing we can do to those things to polish them. All right, so. And Theo Getty, we might have a little bit of time for feedback at some point. What kind of stuff did you bring by? And for those of you looking to cook up the same type of thing we did here today for the intro bit, there's an instance of... Well, this one is called Metaphysical Scenery. It's a fork of Metaphysical Function, which is one of the classic reactor ensembles from back in the day. You can grab this from the reactor user library. It's a great little patch. It's been slightly tweaked, but not too much. And then I've got Thule, which is a great little... It's like a wind chime instrument ensemble that you can also grab from the reactor user library. This thing is an FM synth. It's working on Plux. And then I've got it kind of dreamified through a few things here. Now, this is actually a really melodic and kind of beautiful thing here. But I've got it completely mangled entirely into something different through some spectral jitters. And that's a molecular. Weird little shifty abstract soundscapes. Yeah, what's up, Theo? All right. So I'm just going to turn off all this noise. So there's just a ton of stuff working on these channels here. So Theo, what are you working on over there? No, this is Logic. And you'll oftentimes see me working in Audio Design Desk as well. Side project DAW that we've been building for the past several years. Okay, so what we're going to do is just take a look at, like I said, the basic workflow of, okay, so you downloaded some sounds. Now what the hell do you do with them if you're trying to do this really complex sound design stuff, right? So let's just take a look at all of that. Oh, and you know what? I need to kick this drive to the curb, and I will plug in another drive here really quick. Theo says, I dropped a song 4 days ago trying to get opinions. Oh, on Friday? Were we already done with our stream for the day? Oh, is it in private feedback? Ah, I probably just didn't even see it. No? Or you released a song 4 days ago. All right, so that is ejected. Let me just plug in this other drive here really quick. All right. So, is this something you've already released? Yeah. Man, I'm in the process of still going through and renaming all of the files in like, I told him I'm going to send like 20 different sound packs to get started. Um, that's a lot. It's a lot of files to go through and rename. Uh, Man. Theo, is this something you've already released? Yes. Okay, so it's an already release. Where did you release it through? Like, is this an independent thing, or do we risk like a copyright strike here? Normally, we do work in progress for people or with people, but happy to play your stuff and give you feedback on your stuff, man. Independent, awesome. Where'd you post it? Uh, yeah, let me know where you posted it, and we'll take a look. All right, so we're going to take a look at just some individual stems. How do we break down the stems? How do we get them into the tool? All of it. We'll just go step by step here. We'll start by grabbing some sounds. Requests for live. Label. Valentine. Well, let's see here. Yeah, right. Drive is to be loading. I need to move a whole bunch of stuff off of this. Probably all the live streams from last year will come off, which is just a ton of weight. And when that happens, this drive will fly again. I just need to take the time to do it. Yeah. Discord. Theo, there you are. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Not even logged in on that one. Spotify. Well, on Spotify. Why is Spotify not working? Hold on a second. Let me kick the box. If I'm not logged in, it will load. If I'm logged in, it will not load. Why is that? Let's try it again. That's really weird that Spotify's not loading this. Do you have a different link than Spotify? If not, it's cool. I'll just wait until this loads over here on the side and we'll listen to it when it opens. I'm not sure why it's being odd. It'll only let us get a preview if we're not logged in. So I'll wait for it to actually load properly. And in the meantime, oh, hey, nice. Crusoe says I recently organized all of my samples and whips from over the years, so nice now. My downloads folder is empty. That's awesome. That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. All right, so for those of you familiar with just layering workflows in general, you might already know about tools like Weaponizer. Typically, when you see me working on these types of things, we will oftentimes use more kind of musical tools in general to make it a little bit easier to follow along with. Because a lot of you guys have Polyplex, for instance, because you have Complete or one of the other tools. So I would just want to show it in this one because we never really take the time to show the tools that are oftentimes actually being used behind the scenes, right? So it's a little bit more fair. I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to initialize this patch here. And just to summarize what this is a sampler. Okay, it's a multi-sampler. You've got 4 kind of categories or types of sound that you get to work with here. And it's not specific to the type of sound you're putting in there. It's more so that you can group the samples from that group together. Okay, so if I put a whole bunch of sounds into this onset category, I can then move onset around over here, which will make sense a little bit more here in just a second. But this is the timeline, the playback timeline on which these sounds will be rendered. The next is body. So body would typically be right just directly after or slightly nested under onset, right? So you can think of this as like a wind-up sound or like a power-up sound. And then the body could be like the shot. The thump will be a low-end reinforcement, and usually it's happening concurrently with the body of the sound. Sometimes it's offset from the body for effect. And then there is the tail, which is, and this might sound kind of weird, but typically applied separate from shots in sound design, and it's so we can control the length, the duration, the environmental impact, all of these different things. So that is the reason why there's these 4 different kind of groups of sounds that we're going to start populating. So it's onset, body, thump, and tail, and it also kind of shows you how these sounds are normally kind of dissected and processed, which is why we want the thump separate from the body, by the way, because we would obviously EQ something subsonic differently than we would in the normal hearing range. Okay, and then within here, we've got multiple banks. So we've got the ability to load 4 banks of samples in each one of these categories: onset, body, thump, and tail. So if you are someone who does complex sound design to create snares or kicks, you might already be accustomed to using 3 parts, right? To build each one of these. Or if you're building complex bass sounds for like colorful or complex bass music or something, you might even see yourself doing more. But when it comes to percussive stuff, timing becomes so essential that a tool like this helps a great deal because you can deal with things like speed and shaping on a very small time scale. And all of the parameters, the knobs in which you're engaging with are kind of fine-tuned to that. So what I typically do not do is use a whole bunch of effects processing within the tool, but I will show how that typically works. They load as VSTs in here. That's about it. That's kind of the nutshell version of this. There's a whole lot going on here. There is like a library of sounds that this comes with. I'm going to put in my own sounds. We're not going to use the stock sounds. So what we get out of here will be really, really original. But just to kind of play a couple of sounds for those who have never seen this, let's just go into factory presets, and here's some weapons. Let's do sci-fi in here, just to keep it fun. Some acid guns. Oh, it's thinking. There we go. And if you look really closely here in the bank, there's 2 sounds loaded in this one. We're currently in tail. There's 2 sounds loaded here, 3 sounds, 5 sounds. Now, if we were to hit the fire button a couple times and you look at the readouts, the waveforms of these sounds over here, you'll see that they're in a round robin. They're moving. They're loading based upon when I trigger the sounds. So obviously, if there's more sounds in a bank, there's more variety of potential output. So taking the time to build a small bank of complex and similar yet eclectic sounds can yield pretty high results, right? You could quickly get dozens of unique sounds out pretty quickly. So let's just take a look at this. This one has 5 sounds in each, and as I hit fire, you can see a new one loads in each one. So that's the basic premise of what we're going to do. I'm just going to load up a initialize patch here. Theo, let's take a look. It is loaded, yes. Let's listen.
I said I'd quit this back row scene. Too many nights, same old routine. Swore I'd leave that bottle be, but it's calling out like it knows me.
That's not it.
Every promise I break.
Why is it not loading your track? Here, let me grab the link again. This is yours. This is what it says. It's just not playing the right thing. It's really weird. Try again. Okay. We're in, right? Awesome.
Yeah, don't know where I go. Where do I belong? Feeling like I'm cold. Feeling like I'm. Don't know where I go. Where do I belong? Feeling like I'm cold. Yeah, feeling like I'm lost. Yeah, lost. Yeah, yeah. Do you know what it's like to be happy? Cause all that I'm doing is being destructive. I know. Feel like I keep myself captive, the prison I'm into, you know that I made on my own. And I have the keys to open it up, but I kinda don't wanna do it alone. Somebody help me, will somebody get me? You know that I'm feeling so low. Where I go, where do I belong? Feeling like I'm cold, feeling like I'm. Don't know where I go, where do I belong? Feeling like I'm cold, yeah. To show me the way, cause all that I do is just sleep for the day, okay? Yeah, I keep drifting away. Maybe in the end I do not feel okay, okay? And you know that I have some problems that I I'm trying to deal with, but never lose faith, okay? Yeah, never lose God. He's the one that got you for every second of every day. Where do I belong? Feeling like I'm gold. Feeling like I'm don't know where I go. Where do I belong? Feeling like I'm cold, yeah. Feeling like I'm lost, yeah, lost, yeah. Working another find my mind is all over the place. I don't know where I'm heading, might as well just shoot for the space. My heart is hurting, I'm having headaches, I feel out of place. Don't know what's happening, don't know if I win in this race. Cause life's a race and I gotta admit that. When I fall in sin, I repent and I get back. When I'm feeling lost, go to my room and I sit back. Thinking to myself, I don't know why I did that. Why did I do this? Why can't I find what the truth is? The truth is sometimes I feel useless. Cause I've been on my mind all day, been thinking of mistakes I know I can't erase and I know life's a maze. But will I get out of it soon? Don't know if I will make it through. Don't know why I don't have a clue. That's why I'm feeling like I don't know where I go. Where do I belong? Feeling like I'm cold. Feeling like I don't know where I go. Where do I belong? Feeling like I'm cold, yeah. Feeling like I'm lost, yeah, lost, yeah, yeah.
All right. Okay. So Theo, Getty, I think this is cool. I think there's two things, in my opinion, that could really take this to a different level. One, you've got a cool tonal bass element here, and it can be the tonal character of it can be brought up more through saturation, and I think it'll help with dimension and depth and character. It'll help define this more, and it'll bring the low end into kind of a more bold and well-defined position in the mix. And I think that the synth plucks that are on the side can be brought down just a touch. Sweep the reverb on that channel for resonance as well, because it's kind of resonating and bumping against the vocals processing. The bass line and that supporting synth on the left are pretty simple, which is fine. But if they got spiced up a little bit, it'd be really awesome. I think it'd be more interesting. So this could be as simple as finding the right kind of processing to put on them, because I think both of them could stand to have a little bit of something, or as complex as writing additional riffs, right, and making the arrangement more interesting itself. So if you want to keep it simple and just leave it really supportive, some type of degradation would be great, right? Whether it be like tape emulation or I do see VHS being mentioned here. Well, TVD. Yeah, something that can kind of mess with the timing of the delivery. You know, chorus might work if the supporting synth element isn't quite as reverby. If it got a little bit of chorus going into that reverb, that might feel pretty cool too, because it would bring in this sense of instability through the detuning. The bass line itself, like if you had a saturation or distortion plugin running at a very mellow level, at a very subtle level that also had some modulation going, then that would make the bass line more interesting. The bass line itself, arrangement-wise, wouldn't necessarily need to change, because there would be variations being introduced by the amount of saturation and the modulation there in it. So that's what I got for you. Vocal-wise and lyric-wise, I think that stuff was all right. I think it's more just the supporting elements behind it and what is being done to them in the mix to help it feel a bit more full and upright. That's what I'm thinking there. Jay the Dawn, welcome in. How you doing? Liv says, as long as Tom gives me the go-ahead once he wakes up, I'll be releasing a music today. Oh, this is exciting. This is great. This is great. Yo, what's up, Sin? Syndromix here. Now the real fun can begin. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through this pack over here, and we're just gonna grab a couple sounds. First, we're gonna chop them, and then we're gonna bring them in little bunches. We're gonna bring them into here. Okay. So first things first, we're gonna bring. Let's do these. I'm not sure how many this is. This is like 7 different stems here. We're going to bring these in to Logic. And sure, it's fine if we put these all on one track for right now. And let's actually do a convert file to 48, because these do not need to be at 98 for what we're doing. Since these will actually be delivered in 48, we'll just keep it at 48 from the get. Okay, so, and then the nice thing about Logic is I can take end-to-end files like this. Let's save this project really quick. Save this as one here. One. And this one will be oh, actually, let's put this into its own folder in there. And then in here, we'll just say day 1. Cool. Okay, so we're just going to split all of these up into one-shots really quick. We're going to use strip silence to do that. And we're going to keep this pretty tight. We're going to keep this pretty tight. We're going to keep the threshold low. This looks very tight. It might be just a little bit too tight. So we're going to add just a little bit of cushion to each one of these things. We're going to add just a tiny little bit of pre-attack time. And we're going to add just a little bit of post-release time. Because some of these sounds are actually going to be quite small when we get them out of here. So I just want to make sure that they are big enough that we can actually grab them and stuff. So I'm just going to say OK. And then we're going to apply that to each one of these. I think these are all supposed to be connected still. So. Okay. And this guy. Those look good. This guy. These all look good. This one. This needs a little bit of love. Just there we go. This one. It's good. And this guy. Okay, cool. So now when we play through these, these are all just going to be individual isolated sounds now. And we're not even going to use these here, these sequence guys. So we'll leave those all on their own track. So it's actually going to just be these guys here. And what are these over here? These guys. All right, so we're going to take those guys out of this bank as well. I'm just going to move, oops, I'm just going to move these down a track. And I'm going to move these guys down a track as well. Just going to keep them all together. And that'll make it a little bit easier to export them really quick. Okay, and on this track, we're just going to solo, and I'm going to zoom in and just do just a 1 count on an in and out with the fade curve. And then we're going to export these guys. So they are all selected right now. Save. Say export 44 regions as audio files. And we'll put them into bounces, that's fine. But we're going to put them into a folder. We're going to put these as onset mechanical. Do not need any of these other things. We will just do increment, and our custom will be mechanical. Okey-doke. Now we're going to repeat this process just a couple of times. We're going to do body, we're going to do thumb, we're going to do tail. And we're going to take these sounds that we've just got and we're going to put them into these trigger banks in here. And then when we click this fire button here in a little bit, it's going to start outputting magic. It's going to start just grabbing sounds for us from these banks and putting them over here for us. It's going to be great. All right, so those sounds should be over here on our drive now. I'm just going to double check that that is indeed true. So where are we here? Let's go here. Boom. Okay, now I have dissected these. A little bit tighter than some might. I want there to be quite a bit of variety. We're going to grab the next set. You know what I should do? I should have like a little bit of this in the background for us here. I have all that stuff turned off right now, don't I? Never mind. I'll do it over here. What is this? I have something cooking over here. Is it worth listening to? Let's see. I forgot what it is. It's too short to leave on loop, so I'm going to just save this, and we're going to close this project, and I'm just going to put some background something in here. How about some cosmic fields? That would be great for right now. We're just going to put a little music in here. Then we don't have to have all the complete silence in the background. And these are kind of like a nice little sci-fi theme. Should support the sounds we're making pretty nicely. But we do one more song. All right. Scatter these out and listen. All right, let's see. Everybody hearing that over there? No, you're not, are you? So why is that? Let's fix that really quick. Still nothing. Why is that? Let's check our output really quick. Sometimes if we kick it, come on. We'll just force it to update here. All right. Give us audio. There we go. Got a little background noise now. You guys let me know if it gets too loud for us. I'm going to switch back over to Logic. Weaponizer is a great name for a weapon making synth. I was just looking through the pew 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 battle chat. It's pretty great. All right, so we're going to go through a second set of sounds now. We're going to get what? Let's do. Ooh, we've got little charge ups here too. Let's do just a little bit more onset then. Let's take. Let's take these guys. We're going to chop them. And we'll put them all on one track. Okay, so just like we did before, we don't have to actually set anything up. So we're just going to go through, strip silence on each one of these, and then we will export them. Alright, just going to give them a quick little fade in and out of just like one little tick here, and we will export. 38 more regions, so let's just say that this is which ones did we just grab? We grabbed the charge. Okay, so these will also be mechanical. They'll have a charge to them. That'll be inside of the onset folder. And now let's move on. Those are exporting for us. We're just going to grab some shots. We'll do more of these, and we'll just span these out across all 4 sample banks. Shot category. Put all of these on one track. This whole workflow is a little bit more interesting when you're doing like 100% of all the source sounds yourself, of course. But you can see that if you are working from existing sounds, you can get through this incredibly fast, especially if you're familiar with all of your DAW's shortcuts and hotkeys. Let's go back one. Wait, what's going on here? Why you don't work? Okay. All right, so that is all of those sounds. We will highlight them all. We'll give them a fade of 1 and 1, and while they are selected, we will export. That's 102 samples chopped in those few seconds. And we're going to say we're going to go back one, and we're going to create a new folder, and we'll just call this shot. And we're going to change the name of this. Shot. Keep it really simple. I'll give us 102 samples into that directory for us, and while it's doing that, we're going to go and we're going to grab a few more. We're going to find some tails. Lots and lots of mechanical sounds in here. Oop, tail off. There we go. And we're going to grab these. These are all going to be at random. So we're going to have tails that do not match the original source sound, which is going to make these even better once we get to the processing layer. Okay, now we're going to come back over here. Since Logic just finished exporting the other ones, we're going to drop these in here, put them all on one track. We'll still need to find some thumps. But as it stands right now, we can start creating our weapon sounds with just this, without the extra low-end impact. And they can still stand upright in big projects without any problem. We will indeed go find some sub-impacts, though, here in just a moment. Okay, so we just chopped all of those, so we are now going to take those 72 samples, and before we export them, let's give them just a quick 1 and 1, 1 and 1, and we will export them to their own directory, 72 files. We're just going to back up out of shot, and we're going to create a new folder, call this tails. And in here, call this tail. And that exports 72 sounds for us. So now we will go down here. Let's just see. Oh, we don't have any servos in there. Let me just... Servo. This is fast and slow. Let's go one fast, one slow, one leg. We're going to add just a little bit of servo action to our onset folder. Let's take a quick second. And this one, and we will take all of those samples. That's 18 new samples. We will export those. We're going to go back to our onset mechanical, and we'll call this we'll call these mechanical servo, and we're going to put that into our onset folder, and it's going to export those for us. Tails, you know him. Okay, now we're just going to grab some thumps really quick. Just some low end. Just some oof. Actually, before we even go there, let's just go back to our DAW really quick and go up here to Weaponizer. The music is into it. Music is like, yeah. Let's get more interesting. Let's see where we are. I'm going to grab Futuristic Weapons, day 1. Here we are. Okay, so our onset mechanical, we've got 100 items. Look at that. We've got 100. So I'm going to put 25 into each, give or take. So this is going to go into bank 1. Now, I'm going to put the next set together. And we're going to put that into bank 2. Next set. $25 into this bank, and the remaining 25 here into this bank. So now we've got 4 different sample banks of sounds. We're going to go into body, and we're going to use our shots. All right, we've got 102 of these. I'm just going to grab those 2 extras in this first one. We're going to put this into our first bank. Bam. We're going to take the next 25 or so. Put them in here. We're going to put these into here. And we'll take the last 25 and we will put them to this bank here. We're going to skip thump for now. We're just going to put some tails in. How many tails do we have? We have 72. All right, so we're going to split those somewhat evenly. And bank 1. Bank 2. Bank 3. Bank 4, and without even shaping any of these, because we have speed control, we have level control, we have the ability to put these into specific kind of scenarios. We're just going to skip all of that for right now. We'll just keep thump hiding under body for right now. It's not playing any sounds. And we're going to put tail right at the end of the body. And if you look at the waveform here, we can increase the scale a little bit. See what this actually looks like. Okay, so somewhere around like this. We're just going to start hitting the fire button here. Again, we haven't shaped anything, we haven't processed anything, so this will be kind of raw. All right, so some of the charge ups are a little long, so we'll probably group those into one. We'll speed those up a little bit so they don't seem quite as long. The ones that have the gap, we'll slow them down a little bit. Okay, so you can kind of get a sense of what we're actually doing here. All right, we're gonna speed up these guys here. Our tails. We don't really need these guys to be quite that long. Yeah, a little bit like that. And now our onset. We can speed these guys up just a little bit, I think. I'll do them of various shapes and sizes, but they'll all get bumped up just a little bit. And that means we're going to push our body back a bit. Our tail back a bit. Make these even more kind of succinct. Now, this workflow being what it is, you can go ahead and say, you know what, I don't really want to go back and make a whole bunch of edits. I understand that maybe 15% of my output or so is going to have some tail madness that just doesn't make any sense. There's going to be like some charge up still happening or whatever. And you know what? My workflow's incredibly efficient if I just trash those at the end, or I put some sort of volume envelope on them to shape them, like force the shape of something out of them. You know what I mean? So there's an option. There's an option. That's something we can do. We can also go and take and control the actual shape of the audio output instead of just using a level knob too. So if we switch this from knob to envelope, now we can just say, hey, like I don't even want these onset sounds to go past like here or something, right? And you start to get some pretty interesting things. So you can now do the same thing with the envelope, which makes them vary speed, right? Variable speed elements. These are no longer just plain back static. Okay, so we're gonna do that to a couple of these. Okay, we'll start this one slow, we'll speed it up, which is, you know, gonna shorten the playback duration. Maybe even get like a second little thing in here. Okay, something like that. And yeah, we'll leave these other two the same. And we'll just go ahead and hit fire. Now, we also don't have to use all 5 banks of these. It's also a good thing to mention. And let's make this a variable speed as well. And we'll put this one on an envelope as well. Just kind of truncating these in interesting ways. It doesn't have to feel like any kind of exact science because it's not. If we want to add some sort of a synth element, we can here. This is FM synthesis down here, so we've got a carrier and a modulator, and we do have the ability to manipulate 4 oscillator pitch down here, which can get pretty interesting. And it is good for the futuristic sound design stuff. You see how these are now starting to kind of feel a little bit more like something that feels more realistic? For something that's completely imaginary, of course. So these are actually happening pretty quickly. I'm going to take this middle handle here. I'm just going to take this down just a little bit. So it's going to get a little bit slow. Slower than it normally would. Play around the same kind of spot for both. And it's going to quicken again. See what that does to it. Let's go into drunk mode for just a second. Drunk mode is pretty interesting. You gotta start getting some things in here that you don't normally get. We can also go into burst mode, which is where you're going to get into sequences, right? So rapid fire. Tail mode. Rapid Fire. Right? Yes, drunk mode. Welcome to Transformers. Exactly, right? So you could go through, a tool like this and play with their stock sounds all day long, and it's, there's lots of fun. But when you start putting your own sounds in, it's way more fun, right? Now imagine, too, if you start to embed things that are kind of unique to you, right? So if you were making percussion sounds, for instance, right, and you were using Foley and found sounds, this is such a great tool for that, because you can just imagine, right, putting trinkets in here, putting you could even put gold in here, right, which is loops, rhythmic loops made from the trinket one-shots, but then you could use an envelope to truncate, to like control how much of that would actually play through, and then mess with the speed and level. I'm sure you guys see where I'm going with all of it. You can end up with really, really unique stuff that belongs just to you. You know what I'm saying? And it's very, very much akin to the same workflow that we've explored a whole bunch in like Polyplex and stuff. So it's like super applicable. You just have to get really creative with like what types of things you're actually putting into it. See what kind of madness you get out. Let's have a little bit of fun with this thing. I'm gonna put Portal on first. I'm gonna go into pitch. Oh wait, that's gonna make it sound fairly musical pretty quickly, isn't it? Okay, I'm gonna do glitch first. I don't know that it really has to be any particular kind of patch to begin with here. Neurox, welcome in. Ooh, that was actually pretty good, that one. That was pretty good. I'm going to take this off of recycle mode here and burst mode. We're going to keep a little drunk, though. Just a little bit. Ooh, that one was wild. Let's try a different patch here. About buffer twitch. Glitch zone. Some weirdness happening here. I'm going to put a little thing on here for us. We're going to keep our peaks under 0. Just going to widen this a little bit for us. Rhythm choke. This will probably be weird. Yeah, this one right here is pretty fun because you could play off that a little bit between burst mode, the rapid fire mode, and going in here and affecting the shape of the LFO mods that are driving the rhythmic change here. Yeah. yeah. Yeah, especially if we up the rate here. This. Oof. Sheesh. Yeah, some pretty wild results. Got a nice little pitch bend here at the end. That's nice with that really subtle kind of pitch bend in there. And then eventually you get to a point where you're kind of liking more than disliking a lot of what is coming out of it, and then you hit record, right? And you play for a little while, and then you realize that as you're just kind of sitting around playing, you've actually output quite a bit of stuff. The trick is to keep moving through your different sample bank sources, like to set up several different folders in advance, and then give yourself just kind of like an hour or something to play. By maybe in like 5-minute increments, you drop in a different folder into a couple of those banks, and then you toggle a couple of the effects in your effects chain to be something completely different. So maybe you're moving from, phaser to flanger or vice versa or whatever on one of them, and you're also swapping out, laser sounds for servo sounds, for instance. So you get much more kind of mechanical transformy stuff versus much more like Marvin the Martian Space Alien pew 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 kind of stuff. Imagine doing this as a job. You'd never get tired, bored, upset. It is kind of fun just to play with sound all day. Every day. Yeah, see, like I feel like we should probably take this and this, and we'll just slow back these guys. We already have these the variable speed guys. Speeding things up for us enough here. Let's try this. That was nice. That was nice. These are all feeling fairly good right now. Alright, so let's start getting into the body of these, because why leave everything so normal, right? It was kind of fun to start a little bit slow on a sound and do like this is getting a little bit quicker, and then do a quick little jump. Bring it back down. Makes it feel kind of intentional by design. Yes, you get that long pitch drop on the way out too. It's really nice. All right, let's get a couple more of those set up. let's get our tails all set to be more linear in their decay. And this is just so we don't have anything really trying to outrun the sound. Oof. Mm. These are pretty cool, actually. Oh. Oh, jeez. Oof. Cannons, yeah. Right? Oof. I wouldn't mind growing moss. What are you guys talking about? Syndremic wants to be a weapon sound designer, huh? Hey, grow moss. Oof, this one. Oh, geez. Well, now I just want to start playing with the synth, you know? I mean... Oof. Man, this dark verb really changes some stuff, doesn't it? Oof. Oh, geesh. Oh, you guys. That's something right there. Oof. Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous right there. Oof. Why don't we go up here on this guy? It's a bit up. Oh. Okay. Then that feels like something. Ooh, the pentatonic minor. Augmented chord. Whole time. Whoa. Oof. Oh man, this one, right? This pentatonic minor that it's like trying to quantize to here. That's some pretty mad stuff. All right, let's move on from this one here. Oh, okay, let me turn this back on, but then we're gonna dial back. All right, let's try that again. Oh. Yeah, these are pretty awesome. Same, Liv. Whole tones, absolutely. Saf, the tree diarrhea. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm ignoring you guys. Oh, Nero. I wasn't meaning to ignore you. I just saw your request in the chat. You still around? Oof. You know what's really fun is when you bounce some of these, just as an isolated one shot, and take them and put them back in through Polyplex and start using the Twisted Tools modulated effects engine in there, and oof, sheesh. Tell you what, you can get some very tight sounds, like ridiculous. Truly. Right, if we get into the feedback realm in here, we start to get into some pretty interesting stuff. just going to make the rogue decision to take 2 of these guys down by about half volume. 2 of these banks here. We're going to start to get a more well-defined... I'm going to take them down even more, like 3/4 of the way. And let's just say we're going to take this one down about 1/3. All right, let's try that again. Oh man, after school special weapons here. Go Joe. What? Begin. We are energized. Badass. Oh my! Can we just take down our input on this for just a bit? Like by a whole bunch and try that again? Yowza! Let's try that again. Let's take down the... I have the input down like 10 dB over here. Let's see. Oof. There's a whole lot of resonance being heaped into that thing. Let's see here. Wow. That is something. It's all happening through this bit reduction, maybe? No? Wow, it's just entirely through wave shaping. It's impressive. Yeah, there's plenty of heft in these things, huh? I think what we'll do is we'll start actually building some of these banks with intention here. Start building some kind of themes. We've got all of these things built in stems that are like really well organized here in this library. So we can make stuff that's really, really good. Really, really good. And we can go through and be a bit more specific in what we're asking from Weaponizer. Like, for instance, if we were to go through and just mute the bottom 3 banks in each one of these, all of a sudden now our sound is much more focused. Much less unique, but much more focused. Right? And it's kind of laid bare what elements were incredibly lacking, right? So if we go back to onset and we turn on, say, just the first 2 sound banks, it's going to improve immediately. But still, like, really, really limited, right? Just really shockingly limited sounding. Let's go to body and add one more. And another. And our tail. So these layers are so important, right? That was funny. I think something I'll probably end up doing in here is, instead of utilizing the thump category for this specific release, is I'll probably end up putting some whooshes in there. And here's why. Because I feel like if we put a whoosh, and this will work for a lot of the sounds, maybe not every single one of them, but for the style of sound. If we were to put a whoosh that starts about halfway or so through the onset, that means that its peak is going to be hitting right around the onset of the body, which is the transient of the shot itself, right? And then that would allow us to be able to move the tail pretty consistently up right in line with the body transient, which would kind of reinforce it still that much more. So it would give us a bit more of like this fluid, either cock and fire or charge and fire with a feeling of motion at the same time, right? So you kind of imagine like a character like kind of on the fly. I think that's probably what we'll end up doing. When we slow those down, it'll feel a little bit better for vehicular type weapon discharge as well, I think. The body transient. Sounds like an art project. It does, doesn't it? Oh, man. It's true. I'm going to turn up this background music here for just a second and go hit the bathroom, and I'll be right back. Liv, it's funny you say that because I've literally sketched out the business model of what would it look like to sell business ideas to people. Like, I've thought about just putting online, like, it's like a business vending machine, basically. Because I was sitting there thinking about it with one of my friends, like, a couple of decades ago. Because I have notebooks full of ideas, right? No time to do any of them. And I was like, maybe I should just start selling them. Think about this. Rich kids grow up expecting to graduate, usually from business school, right? Business school, law school, medical school, right? And the guys that end up going to business school are the ones that like had, they couldn't get into doctor school or whatever. You know what I mean? So anyway, so they get through and they're like, well, what am I going to do? Like, got to go into business, got to make daddy happy or whatever, right? So you just go to this website and you buy a business idea, like with a business plan and everything. It's like 10 grand, boom, done, right? To me, it really wouldn't matter what you do with the business. Like, maybe there's not even like a stake in it or anything, right? Maybe it's just like right out the door, 10 grand, because there's just so many of them. But seriously, like, it's hard in the modern world. Isn't that just consulting? Well, no, actually, because I've done quite a bit of consulting. Consulting is actually helping people figure out how to accomplish what they're actually wanting to accomplish with what they have. You know what I mean? Like, or what they would have to do differently to achieve what they want from where they currently are, which is pretty different because you can't just tell someone like, start all over and do it completely differently because you're doing it all wrong. Zen. I read a book. I'm a consultant, right? No, like for instance, when I first got into consulting, it was when I first started launching. I launched this business that was staffing, like placing highly skilled people into positions in hospitality because it's kind of a complex industry. Anyway, it dawned on me that like it's really hard to survive in restaurants and business or in general, but it's especially difficult because the industry at large is a bit what's the right way to say this? Like at its core, outside of like corporate food, it's rather roguish, if you will. Like it attracts a certain kind of people, right? That end up in a kitchen. A lot of us are just kind of left to center, maybe a little rowdy. We like to play with fire and knives, that type of thing, right? Anyway, maybe not always the best at like math or science or whatever, right? So I was able to consult with like, hey, this is how you can use math. You can keep all of your same food ideas and everything, but here's how you can use math to waste less and make more, that type of stuff. Or here's how you can double the size of your menu without ordering any different food from your purveyors. Like here's different types of things you can be making, that type of thing, right? So it's a little bit different. A little bit different. That'd be fun though, right? I thought it was, for the most part. A venture capitalist. Yes. Yeah, basically a venture capitalist is like, oh, so you've got this idea. Well, I have money. I want to make more money, so I will make money off of your idea, and I will supply the money that you need for your idea to make me this money. And you might make some in the process. Man. Have money and ideas. Pay attention to me. Yeah, right? There you go, Zen. I read 2 books. Now I'm an expert, and my AI written book is coming out next week. Subscribe to get alerts for it when it goes live, and it will support the things I've been telling you, which will make you feel better about spending money with me. Oh man, love to have a math person on retainer, right? Right? All you need today is confidence. Experts are oil salesmen. Snake oil. Yeah, you know, I think that's to a large degree most things. to a large degree. I mean, after living this long, I've come to that conclusion. Yeah. Our perception of things backed by confidence are drastically different than our perception of things backed by non-confidence. Surprisingly, shockingly impactful in how it affects everything. Yeah, just spit bars, no need for facts. Yeah, I mean, people are winning very powerful positions in our world doing this right now, and we're all seeing it happen. Just look like you know what you're talking about. Well, it's the same, that you're saying the same exact thing that is one of the oldest methodologies in the business playbook, which is fake it till you make it, right? You want to change your position, you put yourself out there, you ask for the job, and you prove that you can do it, even though you have no experience doing it. You just fill that person with confidence. You're just like, hey, I can do this. I can do it better than Johnny. In fact, aren't you tired of smelling Johnny? Johnny smells kind of weird, right? So now you're like filling them with confidence and filling them with a little bit of doubt about your competition too. Yeah. Can't even fill yourself with confidence. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's why having the ability to operate through computers is pretty convenient these days, right? Because it kind of does take away. In some businesses, we've kind of gained equilibrium, if you will, right? Like playing fields have been leveled such that almost anyone can participate in a fairly fair way. It's a little repetitious, but... Sav says, Johnny didn't just smell weird, he came out of the garbage can. Okay, so it's Oscar's cousin, Johnny. You're right. It's easier to fake confidence via email, I agree. Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah. You're like, hey, bot, say that with more confidence, and then send it. Thanks. Oh, man. Oh, actually, that's a great little plugin right there. An AI bot. It's a confidence bot. It's a confidence companion. Yeah. It doesn't just improve your penmanship. It puts a little sparkle in it. It's like the one thing that people actually want. It's like, I just wish I could say this in a way that the person isn't going to respond this way. Yeah, I could tell ChatGPT to do that, and it definitely would. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. It's so true. Where was I? I was in Futuristic Weapon Land, wasn't I? Oh man, Liv is saying I can't wait to have a desk job again. I'm gonna outsource so much work to GPT. Been writing scripts for it for months. Yes, this one's endemic. I'm actually a huge hit. This is just a side level. I'll let you know when I release my course on how to make it. No, I will not link you to my real profile, but if you buy the VIP Elite Final Boss course, you may have the chance to meet my real self. Once I've made millions of the course, then I can prove to you that I made it. I have won many awards. Oh, this is so true. This is so true. I love how there's I did this and you can do it too. And if you buy my book, I'll show you exactly how I did it. Yes, exactly. 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 And then eventually one day, just randomly, you're like clicking around on YouTube and you stumble upon the video that the first guy watched, and it was free and it taught him how to do that thing. And then He made his video, put a bunch of hype on it. Next guy comes along and says, oh, that's pretty good hype, but if you smear a bunch of sauce on it, it'd be even better. Next guy comes along and says, oh, hype and sauce. Yeah, but if you put crunchies on top, it'll be even better. Freaking madness. I know. It's just insanity. Especially when you try to pull back the layers, expose the curtain, or pull back the curtain and expose the layers. What am I trying to say? I'll share all my knowledge as I speak in my video selfie, taken in front of my rented Ferrari. Got like the Enterprise rent-a-car sticker in the window. It's like, I made my first 10 million in my mom's bathroom. You can do it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's kind of wild that this is kind of where we are in 2025, right? It really is. Yeah, the influencer thing really took the internet in a really good direction. Oh man. Okay, so I've got a little bit of time left here, and I haven't actually recorded output from these, so maybe we'll do a little bit of that. You can do some post-processing post-mortem. You don't need to get all fancy here. I am, however, going to play a little bit with the volume levels of these guys over here. Just shaping. We'll see how these sound here. Oh, right. I forgot about this. I walked you guys through putting a whole bunch in here. It only takes 5 at a time. It's true. I'm remembering this now, which is why I really like the S layer workflow, which is the one that I've shown you guys the last couple of times we've done big layering videos, because you can put 128 samples into each sample map inside of Reaktor regardless of what tool you're using, so that's pretty nice. Oh my gosh, right, Liv? Right? Liv is saying there are so many people teaching mixing and production that I wouldn't give money to in a heartbeat. Definitely taking advantage of people. Yeah, absolutely. And like, it was really bad years ago. Like, it's gotten so much worse with all the high definition bro stuff. Like, I don't know how else to phrase this politically correctly or in an unoffensive way, but yeah, it's pretty offensive. It's pretty offensive. Saf, I could show you how to build muscle in 20 days. Yeah. And really become Batman. Yeah, right? Oh man. Oh my gosh. This is it. This is it. You guys are so right. Lewis is here. What's up, Lewis? How you doing? Happy Monday to you. Mm. I was once a potato, now I'm a Batman potato muscular. Tony Robbins. Yeah, the whole class of them. The whole class of them. And it's kind of left a whole bunch of people in our world feeling like they actually need someone else to tell them how to do stuff. And it's just like, oh, wow. How in the world did we get here? The whole self-help thing, yeah. Yeah, a lot of predatory stuff out there in those circles for sure. They all went wackadoo. Yeah. Well, the problem with business at scale is that you have to keep it going, and we got it all warped. Like we got it all messed up. Like, if you want to go into business for life with a business, then you got to open up a shop or something, right? You got to be like, you got to be a bartender or right a vintner or a brewer or you know, you got to raise cows or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be something that like people are just going to constantly be needing. And then you don't try to like just constantly improve upon. It's just madness. It's just got to be like, we got to stop the madness. And like, if you want to something, like if you want to sustain in business, I feel like you got to pick something that you're not going to constantly try to grow. Because if you constantly try to grow, then it's really bad. Like if you have a self-help business and your model is like, I'm going to constantly grow this thing, then like, what kind of problems are you going to create to help people with eventually? If, oh gosh, if the one thing that you have expertise in, you know, you share the secret to solving that problem, then what do? You got to keep sharing more secret answers to big problems. And ah, right? Yeah. Sav says, don't get me wrong, there are some courses that are super useful out there, but there are a lot of courses that sell you a dream that could be a definite scam and no profit since guarantee. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We got here by institutionalizing cultural capital via the college system. Yeah. The college system is pretty freaking detrimental to the whole world. Which over time created the perception that knowledge is only valid if it was received from a person who previously received it from a valid source. Yeah, exactly. This is why it just upsets me to no end. Honestly, it's just so. Oh, and all of the money. It's just man, it's awful. It's just awful. The thing that we're really good at is mucking things up by having ideas that are not necessary that end up becoming a priority. They really are. It's like, and I think a lot of it stems from what Liv was just describing, right? So here we are. If I can't do exactly what they've done, exactly the way they've done it, then I'm going to come up with a good idea to circumvent that, right? Because I want to have mine too. Yeah, we need to learn how to share the pie. Advocate for college, I think it's been widely eye-opening, but yeah, well, it's the system that's broken, not the knowledge. The going and sharing knowledge with each other, that's not broken. I mean, it is broken because there's a lot of gatekeeping in the business of sharing knowledge, but there's nothing anywhere saying that people have to go to a college to share information, which the internet's been pretty good for. A lot of misinformation out there, but like, this is why the idea of a trusted place is good. But monetizing all of that, that's where things are really awful, because now I've basically started a business to share knowledge, and now the same thing that I was saying before applies to this too, right? Because I've already taught you what you came to learn from me. So if I want to stay in business where I live, now I'm going to have to convince you guys that you need to know more. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. And then there's continuing education, and there's it's just it's ad nauseum. But there is the flip of that, the other side of the same exact coin, and that is the sharing of knowledge to help perpetuate something, or to simply share the knowledge. And I think that this is kind of intrinsic to us, which is why it's so upsetting to all of us on such a tremendous, or in such a tremendous way, when we can't just have this. Yeah, it's pretty upsetting. Yeah, it's the profit motive, because you have to keep it going, and it's really it's glaringly obvious in the days of streaming media, okay? Because anything can be taught one time in video and then put up, as long as it is agreed upon that the information there is factual. That can stay up, and people can continue to ingest that. Done and done. You want to have conversations around it? Cool. That same video has a comment section, which would be doggedly awfully long after a while, so you can have forums and stuff. You could even have groups that meet regularly. You know, we call them book clubs when they're for free, but when they cost money, we call them classes. And people come together and they talk about, you know, their feelings and the logical thoughts that they're having about those things. That's all beautiful stuff. But yeah, as soon as the penny hits the bottom of the bucket and someone says, I need a nickel instead, just to stay in business, like, it's done. Like, that one is starting to circle the drain already. Yeah, it's just not for the right reasons. We got it wrong. We got it wrong. Syndromic says, Uni, the first thing they talk about is the networking and camaraderie, rather than how elite their teaching style is. Sav says, advice: if you want to make a course that's going to benefit people and not something that's going to sell for profit. Yeah, that is kind of it in a nutshell. And the sad part of it is that, like, all of it really comes down to, like, what we really want is not a professor, right? We have encyclopedias, we have internet and stuff. We could look up the definition of something or the answer to a question. But what we all really want and really crave is guidance and mentorship in like reasoning and understanding how to navigate decision making with certain things, but not forever. Not forever. Like, we don't need to be told the same thing a bunch of times. We need to be told the same thing a couple of times, unless it's compression, and then it's okay if you ask for 8 years. But like, yeah, all of that is just wrong, and it leaves everybody feeling like the thing that Einstein was always talking to, that I'm always like pointing to on the beautiful art back here, which is everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. And it's true. Yeah, mentorship is greater than classrooms, because mentorship was supposed to be part of an apprentice kind of situation. It's supposed to be just the sharing and the passing on of knowledge. It's not supposed to be something else, right? And then when you're putting hands to that in context, whatever that knowledge may be, that's your craft, right? And then that craft is honed and perfected over time. It's not extremed. It's not new and improved. It's not, there's no neon labels on it. It's just great. Yeah. School should be a bunch of projects you need to complete, rather than memorizing random facts that you can't connect. Yeah, well, you know, that's the first part of it. And the other part of it is, let's stop memorizing answers, because memorizing answers doesn't do anything for anybody. Now, if you sit in front of the same answers enough, that'll happen anyway. But like to put people through a system to learn that behavior is awful. It leaves everyone wondering what they're supposed to do when they're out of it. They're like, who's going to tell me how am I, shoot, I forgot. Am I supposed to wipe before I flush, or, but it wouldn't be profitable. Well, that's the whole thing. Kwame says, we have the technology, we can rebuild it. Yeah, I think that's my point in all of this, is that is our secret backdoor pass. That's our ninja access to the universal basic income. It's not about having the bots do the things for us. It's creating the economy out of the things required to make that technology possible. And then everyone who's not working to fulfill the needs of that technological advancement, every single one of them is putting a bit of effort into the civic stuff. Whether it be mowing the lawns at the parks, raking up leaves, fixing cars, building cars, whatever it is that society needs that is like a thing. Hopefully not cars. That was a horrible thing to just like toss out as like the future thing. But yeah, schools, mentorship mostly, right? It would be mostly sharing of information, honestly, right? In context, and then helping people do things. And we would all look at the grocery store so much differently, wouldn't we? If we all had a hand in it, it'd be great. It'd be great. Anyway, little drones cleaning the sides of buildings and repairing damage. Yeah, for sure, right? And if you're a tinkerer, then you can tinker on those drones. That'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah. Well, I think in a way it's inevitable in the way that we are going, Liv. Like there's two futures. One is incredibly bleak, I think, and the other one is rather like moving in the direction of utopia, but like in a planet that's really struggling. Um, but I think that if everybody was in concert, uh, working in tandem with similar interests, then it's doable because there's billions of people. Oh no, yeah. No, you haven't even gotten to the bleak part yet. Yeah, finding authentic mentors is not so easy. I think part of it is putting a light on that, and then exposing the fact that people, by and large, and not the people here, because you're here, um, so by the very nature of this argument, it excludes you. But the people that aren't tuning into stuff like this, where, I mean, not like me, but like things that are directly tied to interests of their own that are, um, being hosted by people that don't have um, another intention behind it, I guess, and just kind of making the space for it to be real, and then engaging in real community, because I think that a lot of people have not forgotten about it. They've been born out of it. I mean, honestly, how many of you grew up being raised by people that dragged you to city council meetings and small business meetings and stuff to help neighbors figure out how to save their home or their business or how to get laws changed to better everyone in the area? Like, how many of you grew up doing that? And probably not many did, right? Probably not many did. So most people, I feel, were born out of it. And community is something that is like talked about in school and sitcoms, and people don't really realize that it's actually only ever born out of people, right? And that voting is not community, and it's not like fulfilling some great need or purpose, because there's no follow through in any of it. There's no participation in any of it, and that's how it's all fallen apart. Like, I don't think that people really realize that. But I think that if they had a mentor that they were checking in with every single day, all of that doesn't even need to be explained, right? Because actually meeting up with someone every day and doing stuff every single day in the real world, and like your entire purpose is to understand all of it, is like that's it. That's the soup. We like basking. Kwame, how are you, by the way? Welcome in. Never had a third place or a sense of community. Also, immigrant, so it's doubly weird. Where did you immigrate from, Kwame? Syndromic says, if Canada turns out anything like down south, I'm legit afraid for my life. I'm disabled and getting benefits. I'm trying to learn and build, but it's looking real scary. Yeah, Syndromic. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, Kwame says, I go in today to what I thought was a second final interview, only to be told at the end there would be one more interview. They also mentioned how much fun they had during my interview and that they had others that people showed up in t-shirts and not taking it seriously, but they really rejected me. But they've already rejected me 4 times before, so I don't get it. Oh, man. Ghana, okay. Man. Well, one, good on you for sticking to it and with it. But if they do this again to you and you don't get it, don't apply again. Like, this seems like a yo-yo effect. That's awful. Yeah, right? You already work there. Oh, so it's I see. Yeah, I get it. I get it. You're trying to climb the ladder. I get it. I get it. Yep. Internal position. I get it. Man, I'm raising my glass for you. It's tea. I hope it does the trick. Cheers. Kwame says, I got an auto reject last week from my employer. Oh. Yeah, that's, man, the auto reject. That, man, if you want the definition of dystopian in the business world, I think that would probably be it. Good enough to twist widgets, but not the bigger widgets, even though I twist widgets on the biggest clients. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. You know what this smacks of? And I'm not there, and I know nothing about your situation. I have, however, been in management positions for over 30 years of my life, and I would say that that smacks of the person above you is benefiting greatly, having you exactly where you are. The twist widgets. Yeah, Kwame, I feel like this is the feeling that most everybody has anymore is and it's pretty messed up. It's pretty messed up because the dream of it all is supposed to be the pursuit of this and it's not. It's yeah, the pursuit of it has become much more of like a sentence than it has a thrill. And yeah, I don't know that there's a large percentage of people anywhere in the country anymore that really feels as though they're chasing something that will ultimately be caught and end up being this like beautiful movie like thing that sets them up and makes them feel secure forever. Like there's this, it feels like anyway, from the folks that I'm always coming in contact with, as though that has just been kind of meandering kind of downward for a really long time. But like over the past several years, it's just like just done like this quick little nosedive. I was out playing Paper Airplane Wars with my kiddo yesterday. He turned 8, by the way. Yay! So we're out there playing Airplane Wars, and I couldn't help but think at a couple of times where these planes did these quick little nosedives out of nowhere. It was completely unexpected. It all had to do with just like shifting currents in the air, and no one could have predicted it, whatever. It was like such a little microcosm of like what we've been through lately. Like we're cruising along fine, and then whoop, 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 and poof, nosedive straight down. It's all happened so quickly. I mean, think about like AI, for example. Think about this. What if OpenAI announced that they were like a thing and that ChatGPT was a thing 3 weeks after you started your first year of college. Think about that. Think about that. Right? So by the time that you get out of college, a lot of people in that system are probably feeling like, I have become obsolete during the time in which I was going through this tube. Like, I entered it over there, I've come out this side, and I am quite literally obsolete. Like, I have no value, but I owe a lot of money. And I think that's kind of the reality that a lot of people are facing. So I think the mentorship thing is becoming more and more and more legit. Yeah, yeah. Paid 125K to make 24K. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's exactly it. And then you put on top of that you might get benefits from your job, but the benefits are an obligation, and that the benefits end up costing more oftentimes than the rest of the overhead in your life combined, which kind of is a barrier to use the benefits. You can't not have the benefits. You're required to have the benefits, the insurance stuff. So that's the other part, right? Is just like, that's why it feels kind of like a sentence and less of a thrill, because people are not in pursuit of their dream anymore. They're in pursuit of survival, and it isn't supposed to be that way if you are actually in the system. So in Cali, you can be an apprentice lawyer. Went and got my prescriptions yesterday, 3 out of 5, with insurance for 1 pill of 6. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all of it is just so out of whack. Yeah. Yeah, as Syndromic says, Google has had this technology for some time. They were sprinkling it around in their search results here and there, and they open source the tech. That's that's the tech OpenAI is using. Yeah, I mean, it's the similar kind of machine learning that, like, we were using to make ADD, It's like, yeah. It's sad. It's sad just how disconnected the access to information is from people with the ability to truly innovate in the year 2025, in the information age. But that said, this is also a pretty big tipping point for all the same reasons. If you look at the silver lining here, there's kind of this sleeping giant that's been awakened with NVIDIA, right? And having a lot of this technology kind of literally flow through them in the future is going to be pretty interesting. They unveiled these very small supercomputers that every developer is going to have very, very soon. It's just like a few grand, and it's more powerful than anything that's ever been, basically. And everyone is going to have one that's making stuff out there. And that's going to level the playing field in a really interesting way. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And Kwame, you're right. And not only did DeepSeek just show us that they could do it at 75% of the cost, but going back to NVIDIA, they just did the same thing just weeks ago, right? And they can release models that perform better, that had way less training and way less content, and the people making the most noise in the room are getting all the attention. So regardless of what is able to be done by smarter people in different rooms, it's kind of the same old story. But so anyway, if you give that number of developers a fighting chance to cut through the noise, they will. And I think that's what NVIDIA sees. They see this as a law of averages, like a numbers play. Like, okay, we see the oligarchy beginning. We see the power struggle and how this is all going to unfold for the people that are not those 8 guys in the world that control those things. This potentially puts millions of intelligent people into a competitive ring, which is pretty great. That's pretty great. Yeah, yeah, you can become a consultant, learn industry in 4 years. Syndremic, yeah, you can do consulting online and stuff. So much more easy these days than ever before, and people pay very good money for it. If you are knowledgeable, they really almost don't even care like where you are, where you came from, even like your knowledge reigns supreme. And if you can back it up with results, then they're going to pay you. So if you're knowledgeable about something, you can absolutely be like successful with consulting, even if you are, you know, bound to a seat and unable to leave the house. Kwame works from home, been with it since 2019. Zin says, I can't talk. So, yeah, that definitely puts a big hamper on it, right? That's big. That's big. The assistant bots, though, yeah, where Kwame is going with this is helpful. Like, people have a hard time interfacing with handicaps in general. I went through this for a very long time. It's part of why I speak the way that I do. I woke up one day when I was young. I don't talk about it very much, but I woke up one day I was young, and I completely lost the ability to communicate effectively. I could not speak, and I spent the next 5.5 years in speech therapy, learning how to speak all over again, and it was just random trauma-based stuff, and all of my super close friends were coming over from the war. Kihei Pananuvong, Robel Fabricante, like all these people from Laos and Cambodia and Vietnam, and they were all learning English the first time. I was learning it the second time. It took me longer. People completely like disregarded anything I was attempting to say for years, and yeah, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot uh, about like the real nature of people, and yeah, so I get it. I get it, man. That's Yeah. Technical writing is incredibly lucrative. That's true. Um, yeah, it assistive technology is really kind of the future of all of tech, honestly, at this, like in the foreseeable future, I think. Oh, Kwame, your degree's in psych. Nice. Human computer interface. Yeah, yeah, basically. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, you guys are looking at the right kind of thing. So, and it's not just about that though. Like if you can literally model anything as long as there's enough information to base the model off of. You can create an AU that is not something that you would need to be interpreted by. Okay? Think of it this way. Think of it this way, because this is a little bit easier to digest, I think. I'm a sound designer that can achieve certain types of sounds that other people really struggle with. And I don't really ever show how to do those things, right? And it kind of protects how those things are made. And it also kind of protects that value for a very limited window of time. Anyway, I can, right now, on the edge, like fringe ways, I can do this. But in the very near future, I'll be able to do this many times a day. I will train a model on my sound design of a very specific kind, and then I will allow this model to output audio. Like you'll have a few easy buttons, right? You'll have a few easy buttons that will create a specific range of type of sound, and then I can license that to people. I can let people use that model to get sounds. So Now, a lot of people are like, whoa, 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 wait, hold on a second, pump the brakes, because you're basically just giving someone you. You're giving someone a copy of you. They're going to just be able to use a copy of you. And I'm like, yeah, but just to make that sound, and it's basically the same thing as a synth preset. Right? It's just like a synth preset, if you stop and you think about it like this, right? It's kind of a similar thing. You kind of encapsulate your knowledge and your voice, your approach, right? I could shred people to pieces when they come in here with a beat that needs improvement, but I don't, right? I'm a decent person and they appreciate that and they'll bring something back. I'm not going to shred anybody for not knowing something, right? So it makes it a pretty safe place and they can come back and they can depend upon this being a thing. Anyway, eventually I'm not here anymore, or eventually I can't do it for free or whatever. And so they can just interface with this bot basically. And their experience by and large wouldn't be that much different. But now a lot of people could be having unique interactions in the same moment in time and be benefiting. So going back to our conversation earlier about mentorship and it being so important, like not just to us, like at our core, but like for the future of all of us too, right? Like, is it a bad idea to allow more people to have one-on-one conversations with someone that can help them make sense of something, when if they were forced to only speak to a unique individual, like if everyone had to find their own unique individual, like what we talked about earlier would drive us into the ground quicker than anything. We were talking earlier about there's so many people out there selling mixing and mastering courses that you'd never ever want to give your money to, right? There's so many scams and stuff. So, and we were just talking about the college system and about how broken it is, right? So why should we keep thinking in the same ways of like, well, I really want to study under that professor, so I need to save up hundreds of thousands of dollars and spend the rest of my life in debt to get the sacred words from that person? It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. So like in that way, through that lens, thinking about this, it's a way to create engagement opportunities with other people you probably never even knew existed otherwise. Your knowledge can help them, and then they move on throughout their lives. Yeah. Syndremic, you're awesome. Yeah, text is interesting, isn't it? Text is interesting. It's so interesting that the main mode of communication is text still right now, right? It's all happening so much faster than it ever did before. I think that if you were to ask people like 40 years ago what they thought it would be, right? Like after the TV is invented and everything. Or even if you went back to the beginning of the iPhone, right? And you could have like videos in your palm. I think a lot of people would assume that there would be more visual communication. Yeah. What you got, Kwame? Ooh, yeah, Liv, I would join your cult. If you're going to worship the sun because it's real and the earth, not the flat one, then I'm down. Do we have an outfit yet? Because that's like a requirement for a cult, I think, right? Saf says, come to think about it, with all the sessions we did, I can sort of teach people how to make certain types of sound, and the same thing with some of the courses that were actually not scams, so I can actually help people achieve what they're after. Yeah, Saffron, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I personally should find no offense in you doing this. I should actually take pride in doing this, right? Because in you doing this, because like, if you are able to go on and share knowledge about how to achieve great sound design things with other people and help them figure out exactly how to do what they're trying to do, then I did a pretty good job of explaining it to you, and allowing you to, like, you know, stir the soup and stuff in the ways that you needed to do that, right? And now you could pass that flame along to someone. I think that's exactly how it's supposed to be. This whole idea of, yeah, I'll sell you a fruit, but my fruit, you can't take the seeds from and put it in the ground and grow fruit. Yeah. I think all of that's just freaking evil. All of it. I think that's the devil's work. If there ever was such thing, that's probably it. Mr. Bone. Mr. Bone, I'm not sure if I've seen a comment from you in the chat before, though I'm not seeing something here saying that this is your first time, so I've obviously missed something, but I like this. Nobody here is a giant turd trying to make heaps of money off of a cult. That's funny. A secretary. Yes, yes, a secret. We can add trees. Oh man, a presentation by Nokia about their impending doom with iPhone came out. Scratches my corporate drone brain in a crazy place. Yeah, wealth is yeah, I feel like wealth is this like abstract concept that is largely unattainable for the masses, but there is enough allowed through to it to allow a system to persist. It's fragile though, right? Wealth is fragile. If you're responsible with it, then it can grow and you can pass it along. Pass it on. And that used to be a great deal. I remember. So I'm a 70s kid, so I really do remember. I remember my grandparents, like, they acquired wealth by simply working and saving and not spending, and that was considered wealth because interest on a bank account was great. It was fantastic. It was absolutely great. My first bank account, I had 7% interest, and I had that thing cooking for years. I didn't let go of that bank account forever until that bank closed, and it forced my hand. I had to cash out. But everyone that had worked for long enough existed off of the interest that their money was generated for them, and that was a great thing. That was a great thing. That was such a great thing. Imagine a patent for nature. Yeah, there is already that. In America, there's a lot of that, and it sucks. All right, where is this? I want to see this. Let's go take a look at this really quick. Huh. This is really interesting. Wow. I love how this is company confidential and it's sitting on archive.org. I was still with Apple when the iPhone first launched. I was working with a company called MacForce here in Portland, and it was unbelievable what the iPhone actually was at that point. So they spent all of this time aggregating all of this very surface level stuff. Huh. Okay. Okay, summary of recommended Nokia actions. Work very close with T-Mobile. Oh my goodness. Wow, this is like a serious flashback too. Looking at these devices and reading all these words right now, hearing a reaction to what had popped up in the iPhone. This is great. Over 200 new patents. Yeah. Fantastic. Dude. Kwame, this is great. You're being judged right now. It's edging. We love edging. Can we take a bunch of smart, kind people and throw them in a secret city to build cool stuff that will save the planet? Thank you. I'll be the weird sounds and music inventor person. I'll bring chill vibes. Accept me, says Zendremic. This is nice. This is a good plan. Kwame says, I was trying to explain to my therapist why I have such a problem with compulsive spending and general lack of money skills. I've never actually seen it. My ADHD makes it hard to function with things I can't see. Mr. Bo, not that kind of edging. Oh, man. Yeah, voice has killer application, right? Yeah. Wow, we took a hard left turn here today, didn't we? We stopped making futuristic weapon sounds and we started talking about the dystopian state of our world at some point, didn't we? No, it's all good. It's all good. We obviously needed to talk about it. You know, sometimes a conversation like this has to happen just so we know that we can still hear each other and judge that existence is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, social feedback is good. It's good. It's good. Didn't derail us. Just further reinforced our bond. That's all. Dystopia. I want a refund, right? George Orwell was like, man, I tried to warn you guys. I put it inside a book that cost you money. I tried to give you every chance. Well, on that depressing note, we should go see who is streaming, because I do still have to be responsible here. I gotta go pick up the kid from school and stuff, so I'm gonna go kick the box and see who has a show going today. Anybody else get the thing where, like, a certain percentage of the time when you load a page or refresh a page on Twitch, you get the whole module would not load? Anyone else seeing that? Been getting that lately. Kind of wondering what's going on over there. Heyo, Decipher's up. Let's go dance. Let's go say hi. Here's some scratching. I appreciate you guys. And we'll do this again in 2 days. And we'll talk about stuff again, I'm sure. We'll probably also make some stuff, I bet. But it'll be in 2 days. So until then, stay awesome. Know that you're appreciated. Don't freeze or burn up in the sun or anything. And I'll see you on the flip. Bye!